second delay. Hello, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello, hello, microphone testing. 1, 2. Hello.
Very.
ऐसे Can I start? Okay. Okay. A very good evening to all the IIMB students, esteemed alumni. I am Deepa Thakkar, and I head the international product and portfolio for HSBC India. I'm quite excited to see all of y'all because with IIMB, there are global careers and international aspirations that all of y'all would be having. And I would just want to tell you that how HSBC can participate and partner with you in your international careers or your international aspirations that you will be having. Let's start with some history about, some details about uh, HSBC. We are truly the international bank of India. We are serving more than 40 million customers across the world. We are present in all the continents of the world, very strongly present. We actually, 11% of the trade flows of India are routed through HSBC. 63 countries and territories span across all 5 geographical regions is our global presence. And 45% of the MNCs in India bank with HSBC. So we are very proud. We are the only bank who has its own AMC. We give our clients 700 plus mutual fund access. We have our own insurance company in partnership with HSBC Canada. So truly the entire gamut of banking products is what we serve our clients, and we're very proud about it. Now, how does HSBC fit into IIMB community? All of y'all would be having global aspirations. Some of y'all will be passing out this year. Alumni are already working in the global workforce. And this is the entire gamut of segments that we serve. We start with personal banking, where the initial, the students who pass out, they open our employee banking account. Then we move to Premier. Premier is the proposition where we understand the differential lifestyle experiences of our clients. We offer them curated bespoke products. We give them preferential rates, and we also give them a dedicated relationship manager. We have 2 branches here in Bangalore. We have one at MG Road and one at Whitefield. Then as you progress in your careers, executive banking comes into space, where we give you global access, global wealth management solutions. If you want to, if you're worried about rupee getting devalued every day, we have accounts in Gift City also. We are present in Gift City as well. So you can actually park your money in dollars so that you don't face the depreciating value of rupees. And we also give you a lot of curated offerings when it comes to executive banking, like Black Lane, if you're landing somewhere, global golf access, and various products which are very, very differential for the international needs of our clients, and then global private banking. Now, Now let's, understand that. Let's talk about specifics. Okay, so imagine you all get a job in, say, US or in UK, or some of your friends may get. What is the best thing or to experience that you could and that you could think of is that when you travel overseas, before you go, you have a bank account set up so that when you are reaching there or when you relocate, you don't have to spend your energy and effort in opening a bank account or setting up your financials. If that is already set up, how does it feel like? So we have something called as global account opening, which is digital. So before you say, suppose you get a job in Singapore tomorrow. So before you land in Singapore, your account will be set up. A resident account in Singapore will be set up. You will get your checkbook, your debit card, everything here in India. It's not only for you, but also for your family. So we believe in family banking. So when you open an account with us, we also give your family zero balance account so that when you relocate, you don't have to stand in a branch there or queue up there, look at, documents needed to open the account, but your account is already set up. Now, what about credit card? Because all of us, we live on credit cards now, right? So what about your credit history? Because you don't have a credit history there in Singapore. So how will you get a credit access there? So we have something called as credit portability to build your credit footprint in that country before you land. We can give you a credit card if you are a premier client in India. We give you a credit card and we also match the limit. So it's not that we give you a basic credit card which will not even survive for a month. We match our limit. So suppose you have a 10 lakh limit here in India, we can match up the limit same so that your lifestyle doesn't change when you relocate there. So that is again a promise that we are making to our clients. This is unique to HSBC. No other bank has a credit portability. So we've partnered with credit bureaus across the globe, and wherever HSBC is present, the credit history can travel with you. Uh, Cross-border banking. Now, when you relocate, or even if you don't relocate, but you have a younger sister or brother who are thinking of traveling overseas with education, how does it work? We have real-time remittances. So if you are a non-resident Indian, by that I mean if you get a job outside India, you can actually send money real time. It is transparent. So we will actually tell you on the mobile app that how much is the spread or the exchange rate that we are charging you. And it is also most convenient because it is the tap of your finger on the mobile app. So cross-border banking is very easy when it comes to HSBC. Now, what about, you say that, no, I'm going to settle in India. I will get a job here. So uh, how does this matter to me now? Many of us now want to invest outside India, right? Like I want to buy Nvidia stocks or Apple stocks. How do I do that? So we will help you set up an account there. Or you want to just invest outside India through Gift City. Anyone knows what is Gift City? If I may just ask anyone. Anyone wants to tell me what is Gift City? Loudly. Hmm? Exactly. So it's a global hub within India. So it's an open economy that Indian government is trying to give access to Indians. So because most of the Indians they send money outside India for investments. Now we want to ensure that we give those services to Indians right in India itself. Also a lot of NRIs. So NRIs actually sent $129 billion last year to India. Okay, but now when I talk to my NR customers, they are worried because while they believe in the Indian economy, but they don't believe in the valuation of rupee because rupee is depreciating. So even if I give a NRI 7.5% interest rate in my fixed deposit, earlier they had an arbitrage because in their home country, the rate of interest on their deposits is much lower, like 2%, 2.5%, 3%. So they were parking a lot of money in India. Now with the rupee devaluing every month, they are worried that, even if I get an arbitrage on the rate of interest, but I will not get it because the rupee will devalue. So net returns is same. So we've now opened a branch in Gift City, and now our NRIs or our resident clients, both, they can convert the rupee into USD, Euro, or GBP, park money in Gift City. In Gift City, we have products which also participate in Indian markets. So if you're an NRI, want to park, say, into alternate investment funds or into private placements or private equity, or in real estate funds, you can actually park that money in US dollars in India, and the returns that you will get also will be in US dollars. So net, The rupee devaluing does not affect you because these are long-term investments, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So the rupee devaluation doesn't matter to you, but you can get access to Indian equity. Similarly, a lot of us, right, we want to participate in markets overseas. So we have dollar denominated alternate funds where you can participate. We will invest on your behalf overseas in various companies in other countries and make those returns for you and give you. RBI allows you every year, a resident Indian can actually send $250,000 outside India. So this access is given to you. We are also going to be launching next month a dollar denominated insurance product, which will be a global insurance product. So, these are the international aspirations that Indians have or the non-resident Indians have, and we try to fulfill that by launching these products. Now, what about the future planning? So, as I told you, gift city is one way. Secondly, some people want to have golden visa in UAE or invest into Singapore because Singapore is an open market where you can invest into various countries, various types of products. You can do futures, options, you can invest in currencies, which is not allowed in India. So we also help you through our international wealth hubs. You can actually start planning for your future by investing there. If you say, I want to invest in India, as I told you, we have our own AMC. We also have 10 alternate investment funds and 10 PMSs currently live with us. So based on your goals that you have, your risk horizon, your time frame that you have to invest into markets, we can actually suggest you these kind of products. Now, banking doesn't mean 9 to 5, right? You may be in US and you may need to talk to a relationship manager in India at your time, right? And obviously the RM in India must be sleeping when you are awake in US. So how do you get access? So we have 24/7 manned contact center. By that, I mean that there are 40 people trained on international banking and they can just pick up your phone in one ring and serve you like a relationship manager would do. So banking 24/7. So we are available for you at whatever time, at any time during the day or night. Now, coming to beyond banking, this is very close to me because while I will service you on banking and you will say that's nothing big deal because that's your job and you're doing that. What about something which is beyond banking? So what do I mean by beyond banking? So like for me, for example, when I passed out 16 years back, I did get an opportunity to work outside India. But I'm the only child. I had my parents here, so I wanted to stay here close to them because I didn't want to leave them. And many of us have that. In fact, my friends who are already working overseas, they're always worried about their parents back home. So we've partnered with a company called as Summit, and we give you elder care services back home in India. So if you are in US or in UK, you don't have to worry about your parents because someone here is taking care of your parents as you would do. So they have very, very good care counselors and they can work for you. With HSBC, you will get high discounts like 30% on the charges or service delivery that they do for you. But you have that. Now coming to real estate. Do you know 1 in every 5 properties that get sold in India are purchased by international customers, by NRIs, okay? So Bangalore, Hyderabad are the biggest cities, Gurgaon are the biggest cities where NRIs do investments here. Now, some of my friends would say me that if I want to buy a property in India, I don't want to waste my vacations coming here because I'll have to put it on rent then, see that, color is done, maintenance is done of the property. So 1 week, 2 weeks of my life just go maintaining property in India. So while I believe in the Indian economy, Indian real estate market, but I don't have time to invest. So now we've partnered with a company called as India Assets. It is based out of Bangalore, but they serve across the country. They do a digital servicing of your real estate property. So by that, I mean that sitting in US, you can actually buy, sell, and also rent out your properties here in India. They will also guide you that which is the right property, which area, what is the price there, what is the tenant rentals that you will get from here, and when to exit on these properties. They, in fact, will maintain your properties also for you without any charges. So now next is golf. All of us want to play this fancy game, but the club memberships are expensive. 25, 30, 40 lakhs is the membership. Secondly, even if you want to pay, you may not get the membership. It is, 2 years, 3 years down the line, you may get the membership. HSBC gives you 24 complimentary golf access in a year. All the big golf courses here in India, you would get access to complimentary without any charges. So we also have our own golf league and we play, we have tournaments for our customers and they love what we offer to them. Next is your travel tickets, bookings, right? While I work for HSBC, but I have cards with other banks also. Whenever I've tried to book my international tickets or my domestic tickets, the cheapest is always on HSBC cards because we give 15% discount on all our international bookings. So that's very good. For your hotels also, you get those discounts with HSBC. Now coming to taxation, right? Complicated. For Indians also, the taxation is complicated, while for up to 12 lakhs now it's going to become simpler, but I'm sure none of us are going to fall in that bracket. So taxation in India is very complicated. And imagine if you're international customer, you have these LRS transactions, or you're an NRI, you don't know what tax to pay here. If you're NRI based in UAE, UAE is tax-free, India is taxing, where to tax, what is succession planning, etc. So we partnered with companies like EY. For succession plannings, we have the top two succession planning companies partnered with us, and there's absolutely great discount. In fact, 1 hour of complimentary services on taxation for you. So a lot of these things come when and we understand the international needs of, our clients. So I would at the end tell you that if you are having global mindset, your future, you think that you're going to settle abroad, or at least you want to make advantage of the opportunity that a resident has internationally, please reach out to us. Our branch team is here. More than happy to, discuss with you, tell you, guide you also in some ways on how can we partner with you, because that is our core competency. We want you to focus on your careers and help us, and we will help you in managing your money here. So any questions anyone has, happy to address them. Anything, any questions? I know all of y'all, I've seen a lot of concert and a lot of festivities here. So you all know that if you want to get discounts in your favorite Ed Sheeran, Bryan Adams, Dua Lipa shows, HSBC Live Plus card is the best card you can apply for. We will offer it to you, and 10%, 15% discount. So I just booked the tickets for Arijit Singh for Mumbai. I got it for 8,000 and my friends got it for 20,000 because they were not banking with HSBC, plus early access. So please at least apply for the card, start with HSBC card, and then maybe we can also look at your banking. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Neeta ma'am. We will have the panel discussion now. So let's welcome. We have 4 alumni with us right now. We have Yogesh. Yugesh, please come on stage. Thank you. We have Harshad with us as well. Uh, please come to the stage. Divyanshu sir, please have a seat. Adricus Mang sir also to join panel. Neeta ma'am, please. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I guess we'll have an engaging talk. We have some questions like which our moderator will ask, and you guys also can pitch in and have an engaging talk with us on the topic. So let's have an interesting session, I hope.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this interesting session on digital ecosystem and security. navigating innovation and threats. And we have some of our alumni here who are leading in this space. So it'll be great to hear from them in terms of how innovation and security can go hand in hand. So as you guys are all aware, we live in unparalleled times. Technology has seen unprecedented growth in the last couple of years, right? Whether it is AI, machine learning, digital assets, the possibilities are endless. But with growth in technology comes this large threat of cybersecurity and cyber threats. Hence, it is very important that we find ways in which we can curb the cyber threats. So 2024, in fact, has been a pivotal year where, while digital technology and innovation grew, cybersecurity challenges also grew at the same rate. India in 2024 was the second largest company to have been attacked by cyber, security threats, and most of it was in the banking and finance sector. As we progress, it is very important that as we grow, we also curb the cybersecurity risks. Basically, I'm going to talk to our panelists and hear from them in terms of what their views are. So, Mayank, maybe I'll start with you. What's your view in terms of how what are the security threats in the digital ecosystem today? And do you think banks or financial institutions are now ready to kind of face these challenging security threats?
So I'll take a 2-minute detour because I'm back to campus after a long time. So first of all, I wanted to just thank the Student Council and the Alumni Office on behalf of all of us to calling us back. Always fun to come back. I was hoping to see some faculty. So if my faculty folks are here, sirs, madams, due respects, I'm definitely going to catch up with my favorite professor, Professor Saurabh Mukherjee. Also, I think I have very fond memories of this Audi, though, in my memory, it was much bigger earlier, but looks like my memory is failing me. I remember giving the performance of my lifetime on this stage, dancing on the tunes of Kajrare, dressed as Aishwarya.
Wow.
So that was my own mark, that point in time. Maybe later. So at elsewhere. So, thanks for having us back here. Now, I think I would say I'm from the class of 2007. I run now lending and credit products for Amazon Pay for emerging markets, from LATAM to Middle East to APAC. And I can say for a lot of my batchmates, as well as for me, a lot of people here, I think digital probably defines our careers in the last 2 decades. And for time to come, I think for the batch here, the students here, it is part of, like, there is nothing without digital now. There are no jobs, there are no propositions, there are no customer propositions that are without digital. So digital is at the heart of it. And for our career for the last 17, 18 years, I have seen, I started off from the campus, as a consultant, management consultant with Boston Consulting Group, working in the BFSI segment, writing slides. And that time we used to write slides for 2020, Vision 2020, Strategy 2020. And it used to be all about, and to big banks like HSBC saying, how should you do digital transformation, how internet will change the world. And I remember very starkly my very first case where I said, internet banking is the future. And about 15% of transactions will happen on internet. And in my career, I've had the chance to move from BCG to Flipkart to found their fintech team and Amazon, running the payments and financial services, where actually I've been able to live those slides, right? We made those slides, the digital transformation will happen. And now we had the opportunity to actually make it happen. And probably in our wildest dreams, we never imagined UPI would happen, the digital infrastructure will happen, so many things will happen. So, this whole digital transformation, I think, works on 2 things, and where security becomes absolutely central to it. And the first part of what digital transformation does, especially in financial services, is now financial services are not obtained separately, and then you go for, for a service that you want. It is embedded in the service that you're trying to take. Whether you're trying to buy a phone or a TV, you don't go to a bank, get a loan, and then you buy a TV. You go to the website, you go to Amazon, you go to the detail page, and it tells you if you want more, you want to buy on installments, you can click it here. We offer, for example, a co-brand credit card, a buy now, pay later program, where 80 to 90% of the signups happen on the detail page. Right? Now, to do this kind of thing, for customers to be comfortable with signing up for a product like this, taking a loan, taking a mutual fund, buying an insurance, in these, like, you are They'll take a loan to buy an iPhone. While they're checking out, they'll also do a theft insurance and a screen protection insurance. So all of these financial services now embedded in the use case, and not just shopping. It's happening for everything now. You know, you are paying your credit card bill, and if they know that you don't have enough money, you can take a personal loan, you can buy it. All of this is possible because of probably two things, right? Two major trends that have happened. First, customers have come to accept and trust these systems. That if they take it online, it's not like they will get defrauded. It's not like their money is at risk. I very starkly remember before the UPI revolution, my mother, my father would never use debit cards online. Now they are all very ready to use their phones, tap and pay, or put a pin and use it. So it is very, all financial services trusted at the heart of it. And without security, there is no trust. And while India was the most targeted, one of the most targeted countries in the world, it is also true that we have a very egalitarian regulator. The 2FA that we as product managers used to always feel it's a friction. It's against the, like we want to create products that are seamless. They work like butter. And then 2FA comes, there is an SMS, you have to wait for it. So we used to hate it. Like 10, if you ask me 5, 6, 7 years ago, I would say I used to hate all of that 2FA. I used to feel US is so advanced, there's no OTP, we just goes. But that 2FA actually works for the customer psychology in a way that it gives you control. It gives you control, so a lot more people who would have probably not used that service are actually ready to use that service. In UPI, you have the PIN, only your phone can work, only your linked SIM card can work. So because of that, India has amongst the lowest fraud rates on credit transactions or digital payment transactions. Because I work in emerging markets, in some markets, the fraud rate is 10 times more than what it is in India. So that is also at the heart of why this digital revolution is happening and why people are accepting it at the scale they are accepting. And from that perspective, security becomes at the heart of it. I think we have a lot of panelists here who can throw more lights on that. But I would say from Amazon's perspective, winning customers' trust is what comes first before you put any proposition. All the beautiful propositions, I was actually very impressed with the HSBC suite of products that you spoke about. And I'll definitely look up some of them. And I'm sure students here will love to know about them. But at the heart of it is how secure they are, how trustable they are. And there, all the efforts that we are doing as a payments company, as a financial services company, is about making sure that the customers can trust these products.
Yeah, thank you, and great insights. I'll move on to you, Harshad, and just a little deep dive into the security aspect, right? So what are the unique security threats do you feel, we are faced with in the current challenges, and how do you think companies can balance convenience with, compliance? So it's important that we give our customers the convenience. He spoke about 2FA. 2FA, like you said, even we in the banking industry didn't like it, but then you have to have a balance somewhere, right? So how do you see the security threats? What can you deep dive a little more, and then how do we meet a balance between the two?
Sure. First of all, thanks everyone for coming here, and then the student committees and faculty. So coming to the question, from a security standpoint, see, security threats have always existed, be it a physical world or the digital world. It's just that they have evolved over a period of time. What we need to understand is something which was paper-based, signature, frauds, etc. So those things in digital world, they're more nuanced, and you need to have means to identify those threats and then counter them. What happens in the digital world is, while there is a person and who is maybe at a branch in a bank who can kind of do that due diligence in terms of doing any transaction, in the digital world, it's a faceless world. You don't see a person, you don't know. So you have to authenticate what's happening. And a lot of while money, you see that there's a lot of money flowing in, there are basically two aspects to the whole thing. There is data flow and there is money flow. Now data flow is instantaneous, real time. Money flow is generally not real time. It is in batch modes or a daily sort of a transaction. But by the time you realize it, things have happened, right? So it's very difficult to kind of go back and change things unless somebody is like proactively doing as a customer highlighting something. So these threats kind of exist at various levels. And when we are talking about data, you can look at data from a perspective of data which is residing in databases where there are threats, or you can look at data which is in transit when we are doing a transaction at various points at a customer level, or at a bank level or any financial institution. So there are threats at various levels between companies when you have integrated systems, when there are APIs, these are exposed. There are vulnerabilities which exist today, which any frauds can kind of tap into and then become a threat to the system or the transaction. While these are external that we are talking about, there are also internal threats today. When we are talking about digital, one also has to understand that employees also have access to a lot of data, can have, right? You need to kind of build in a level of security where there have to be authorizations to people who access certain data beyond a certain level. I mean, customer service teams, operations, etc. They have a lot of customer data with them. So how do you kind of take care of that? That aspect becomes very important. And at the end of the day, see, financial institutions are custodians of money. They are not the owners of money, right? So that aspect also has to be considered. One thing that I can think about from a compliance standpoint is we have a extremely mature regulator, and most of the things that have been put in place over years have taken care of that two-factor authentication or a lot of things which are in place now. What fintechs or the new age sort of companies need to do is, while there is a lot of while fintechs in have a lot of fintechs, while innovation happens, you kind of ignore why there is slowness to the industry, right? It's not something which is something that even traditional organizations want. It is by design, and it is made. I mean, it has been created by design so that these threats can be minimized. So vulnerabilities, security threats to the whole system can be minimized, and that's the idea. The fintechs, the startups, and the whole ecosystem, it needs to collaborate and partner with each other, understand, and then it can flourish.
Thank you. So 2 points you leave me with is one is convenience should never be at the cost of security. Security is most important. And how do we collaborate together? Maybe Divyanshu sir, I will move on to you. You've been a cybersecurity expert all your life. So tell us, what technologies do you see as game changers today, which can, help the ecosystem? And do you think AI ML can play a key role in combating security, right? So whilst there, we have deepfakes and the others, which are again AI technology, can we also have game changers on the security front, which can help us combat cybersecurity?
Thank you, and really excited to be back in the campus. Actually, I was here 3 weeks back to meet a friend. She has come from State Bank of India. She's a general manager to do a course on security and putting how banking in the evolve in this changing world. So 2, 3 things I'd like to focus on. First one, you told that what technologies. Technologies are developed in labs. Technologies are never developed with a lot of security in mind. If you take, I think many of us engineers here who come here, they will be knowing TCP/IP stack, which is like a base of everything. That was never designed with security in mind. It was designed to communicate easy, so scientists trust each other. However, when we put it like, it's like bringing a wild animal in a city. They don't know how to behave. So once this technology starts getting mainstream, like banking, digital, you take app-based banking or however, and then you fast forward to AI, we today know that AI threat can only be countered by AI. A dog fights a dog. It's beyond us to take care of a threat that comes from AI, a deepfake, because the amount of detail that goes into, the amount of computing that LLM or in technical side, if I go a little bit, that AI engines do to create a deepfake, we cannot identify that. So even though we think we are custodians of money as a bank, and if you guys watch movies, I'll remind you something called True Lies, the movie where an architect's account was hacked and money was put, and he has his all life gone and he died, proving that he was not a part of a jihadi group. So security is many sides, right? One is what as an institution that we take, and second as a user that we use. Now, the balance is where the user's perspective of technology matches the organization's perspective of technology. Say, if I know that AI is being used by bank, I'm also being coached that AI can result into deepfake. So taking a example case like my phone or Alexa or any home assistant, which imitates me, it can imitate a banking call also. Now, the problem with digital flow of data is it can end up into a sink, which is Timbuktu, and just get cut off. Then you can never know about it. So what is important is technology from like quantum is coming. So we have to think that technology is a two-way sword. The quantum is available to us. It's also available to a group called Russian Business Network, which is the largest scammers group in the world. It's just name is Russian, but there's nothing Russian about it. So they operate from anywhere in the world. Now they also hire systems. They also hire deep computing devices we know from dark web chatter. And they practice that how can you scam an Indian? How do you scam a Bangladeshi? Bangladesh Bank was big hack. We know Cosmos Bank in Pune was big. And tell me all of you, we understand from product manager's perspective, but will anybody bank in a bank which has got hacked? No. So security is today inbuilt in the product lifecycle. So where I was coming that as a user, security has become foremost. When I use any chat I see, I am concerned that it is right or wrong. So technology, starting from the lab, and if I have to summarize it, when it becomes mainstream and in the field like finance or banking, which is a critical infrastructure, money runs, the world moves, it has to be taken with very, very important steps. Now, what is going wrong is if there is a hacker or a bad actor, which has adopted a technology which is faster than what our main organizations have adopted, then chances of breakage are very high. It's a very good example. Like every bank has CCTV camera or every bank has IVR systems, right? If that data gets exposed, my online banking can happen without me knowing because they can take my photo, they can put it there, they can put my Aadhaar number, which is very easy today, and they can also imitate how I talk or how I behave. So what I'm trying to emphasize is today security is paramount. From data to like facial expressions to video to audio, the behavior, the systems like I'm not saying Alexa is bad, but it's a great system. I also use it. But many home assistant, what data it is capturing? Is it capturing the right data? Can it be used? We have to think from that. Last but not least, what we have seen is there are certain geographies which are specialized in cyber crimes, especially on finance side. A lot of money moves. Myanmar is an example. It's like center of scammers today. We have to understand and we have to put policies from as an organization like banks and all, that the call is routed from that, we inform our user. Because user may not be knowing the way amount of threat intelligence banks today have. I don't think any other organization. So that's where I'll end. Yeah.
Thank you, Yogesh. I'll come to you. So you've been a consultant. You've seen both sides, right? You've seen the fintech evolving. You've seen banks closely. How do you think the two can collaborate to build solutions which can help combat cybersecurity, right? So what should be the partnership between fintechs? Because I'm sure fintechs are also evolving in the cybersecurity space. Whilst the scamsters are looking at deep fake, fintechs are also looking at how can we combat that, right? So what should be the collaboration between both so that we partner together to create a secure digital ecosystem?
Yeah. First of all, I want to resonate with what the other three speakers have said. So being in consulting world, I have had the understanding of or to work with different banks, not just with single bank. So we can have the privilege of understanding what all the banks are thinking about. Layer number one. Layer number two, how banks are collaborating with the third party service providers in order to deal with how they manage the customer interactions, how they ensure that they provide more services other than just normal banking. There is another layer, which is layer number three, which is the pillar or which is the backbone of everything, which is the regulator. So we have tried to work with all the three layers of the entire ecosystem, of the entire BFSI ecosystem. Regulator is, of course, necessary to engage proper controls with all the banks, all the fintechs. We are living in a world of open banking and open finance. Though India has been a bit late in catching up the bus of open finance, open banking, but we are very aggressively working towards a bit more beyond open banking, which is open finance with an account aggregator framework. So we are not just exposing our normal banking data, but along with banking data, we are also trying to expose other financial data like how my behavior patterns are around lending, how can I provide more services around investments for the customers? How can I ensure a complete portfolio being created for the customer? So banks are trying to partner with all the third-party service providers. So when banks try to open up all this layer of the ecosystem, so there obviously exists certain risks of not trusting the third-party system because they are altogether a different entity that bank has never interacted with. So in order to tackle this trust or how to ensure that we have a better collaboration between a third party and a bank, there have been certain API gateways that are existing between banks and third party systems. So these API gateways have controls that are set by the regulator. So we need to build an API gateway or an API layer between the third party and the bank, following the principles that regulator has given. So regulator here plays a very key role in order to ensure that the third party is interacting properly with the bank. I'll just take 2 minutes in order to explain how the banks have evolved or build a capability model around the bank and how banks are able to tackle the risk. So if we look at a bank on a page as a perspective, so we can basically come up with 3 layers within the bank. The first layer is the customer interaction layer, where we have all the channels, we have all the customer interactions, we have chatbots, we have customer servicing layers. That is layer number one. Layer number two, gathering all the data from the top layer, we do processing, as in we do credit scoring, we do underwriting, all the processing or the product layer and the processing layer lies in the middle layer, beyond which lies the heart of the entire bank, which is the clearing and settlement engines, the accounting and reconciliation engines, the sub ledgers, the general ledgers, everything exists in the bottom layer. Banks have to be very precise in order to not expose the bottom layer. The control of the bottom layer should be with the bank. If they want to go lean, it is fine. If they want to be more agile, it is still fine. They can have a parallel core on top of the existing core in order to make it more agile. Processing layer, yes, they can engage third parties in order to have more structured and a more better approach in terms of taking your service faster to this customer. In terms of, let us say, if I taking my 4 days of underwriting time, with the help of third party, I can do it within 1 day because third parties have the access to other sources of data as well, not just with the banking data as well. So we can engage third party in that particular layer. But the top layer, as we have said, the customer interaction layer, as Mayank has rightly pointed out, when we have a two-factor authentication or a three-factor authentication, what we know, what we have, and what we currently do. So in this, we need to engage third party a bit more. Banks have to follow two-factor authentication, that is for sure. We cannot compromise on security, that is for sure. At the same time, we cannot compromise on customer satisfaction as well. We need to ensure that we give the better services, the customer lifetime value improves with the service that we provide. So in order to do that, we for sure have to engage the third party, and third party are being extremely innovative. You're just mentioning in the chat that we had. So there are hackers who are able to crack even the OTP passwords as well. So this is where the third party providers who are very agile, very innovative, quick to the market, they're able to come up with something which is called as adaptive authentication. Not just with OTP, what you are as a customer is what the third parties are looking at. They look at your behavioral metrics, they look at your biometric data, they look at your iris scans, they look at the way you behave, the way you interact with the bank, your typographic expressions, all of that is being captured by third party. For a bank to be so agile, leaving their core services and to engage with is very expensive. This is exactly where bank needs to leverage with third party and have a secure API gateway provided by regulator in order to how they share the data and the data that they consume. So it is three-party system, bank, regulator, and third party. All of them need to ensure that they collaborate each other, intertwine each other in terms of security.
Thanks. I think that's brilliantly explained. So essentially, you're saying that banks have to keep their guards intact, but to give that benefit to the customer, you bring in the third parties who are agile, and they work with the banks to ensure that the customers benefit and security is also not compromised, right? And that's how fintech comes into play. Yes, Divyanshu.
Both of you told. Banks also are responsible to educate the customer on security. Why
Absolutely.
that will solve the problem of building a secure and a good product. Yeah.
Coming to you, you work with a large tech giant like Amazon Pay, and I'm sure you'll process millions of transactions. So what are your, what is the framework that you follow in terms of security? Because you have to give that high growth to the customer. Transactions happen at pace, but you cannot compromise on security as well, right? So what are some of the maybe partners or fintech players that you work with to ensure that, security is paramount in your space?
Yeah, I think, see, there are some basic principles that you have to follow in all of this. Amazon is world over known for the kind of scale that we process. And if you see, AWS came out of Amazon's own need for processing at scale. And now AWS, as you know, powers multiple banks and financial institutions world over, right? With out-of-the-box solutions, which help you exactly in these things, right? Whether it's a transaction level fraud management, whether it's a core level. So there is multi-layer security built into how AWS is. AWS is just a reflection of the Amazon architecture, or how we handle um, security and fraud. So uh, sometimes I wonder, when I entered Amazon, I started looking at some of the services that we have. Like, there are end-to-end services that if we were externalized, they could be $1 million, $1 billion companies in themselves. So amount of investment Amazon has done, for example, at every layer of technology in preventing fraud, in making it, and lots of great examples that the panel was talking about, are all inbuilt into services for us product managers to just use out of tap. So for us, this is available at tap, but for the company, there is a lot of investments. Like the latest things that we are doing, especially leveraging LLMs and AI, right? Um, to his point, we are trying to always make sure. So Amazon has a service called Login and Pay by Amazon. Now, with that service, lots of merchants who process payments, or lots of websites, independent websites, not even Amazon, can actually offer security, military grade security to their website if they use Login and Pay by Amazon. So the customer will come, they will log in through their Amazon Pay account or Amazon account. All the checks that Amazon does, whether it's on their biometrics, whether it's on their credentials, whether it's on their history and their payment methods, whatever they have used in the past, all become available to the merchants, to third-party merchants on their websites that they can then use with the security of Amazon. So, um, especially as a financial services and a payments company, now as a payment aggregator, a lot of our time and resources go in making sure that everything that we are offering comes with a military-grade security. As product managers, our job is to make sure that these security features enhance the customer experience and not take away from it, right? So we have, for example, like when video KYC, for example, video KYC guidelines came, I mean, the whole industry was up in arms, right? What is this? The KYC used to be so simple in OTP, and then video KYC came. And now we are realizing that particular service is actually helping us weed out this whole, the frauds, the synthetic frauds that are happening, and the identity theft frauds that are happening. Now we are able to use the same stack. To his point, earlier we used to use only an OTP or a PIN for a two-factor transaction. Now we have the video from the time of video KYC, and we can do a selfie check at the time of transaction, which may happen 2 years later. And our machines are able to figure out whether the same customer is doing this transaction or not. We are able to use some of these things to figure out device fingerprinting, right? To use these, like, again, tokenization is another regulation that came. Again, it seemed like a disaster. It's going to up, hello, sir. Uh, uh, Dr. Saurav, Professor Saurav is here. Saurav, I was just reminiscing about you and the start of the panel. So great to see you here. So from that perspective, I think the AWS services, and some of you I know have aspirations to get into fintech, to maybe create startups in fintech. I think what the beautiful thing about doing a startup now and building these fintech services now is that you can borrow and you can work on top of services like AWS that have solved many of these core level problems for you. So you can just take it and build it on top of it. As product managers, we are always trying to do that there's a basic core level of security and service that is available to us. And then we think of ways to use this, like tokenization, for example. Now, earlier we thought this is going to create friction for people to save their cards again. It will going to reduce transactions on different merchants. But now we have figured out ways where customers, tokenization is actually helping us expand the places where the card can be used or the payment instrument can be used seamlessly by doing a friction at one time. So there's a one-time friction, you have to tokenize, but then your card number, your credentials are also safe. that you are able to use it over multiple merchants. And, it actually expands the market for the customers. So as the panel was saying, it's a balance. I used to always believe that, these two are at attention to each other, security and customer experience. As I have seen this evolve, I have come to a conclusion, and I think many people here said the same thing, that this actually is in unison with what we are trying to achieve. It creates trust, it reduces fraud, it actually benefits the good customers and takes the bad actors out, which is actually good for the industry and the market. So as product managers, some of you who are looking for careers in fintech and security, I think you should embrace some of these things, because these things expand the market.
Talking about video KYC, I think we have a very mature regulator because in some of, especially HSBC works in other geographies, and some of them are now reaching out to us to say, tell us, how do you do your video KYC? Because all other manners of doing KYC have failed digitally, but video KYC has still stood the test of time, right?
I can share with you, as part of emerging markets leader, like, not only UPI is the flavor of the discussion in every place where we go. All regulators, all bankers want to learn from us how it has been done. Video KYC and some of these two-factor authentications are the other things on fraud detection, etc., that all these markets want to imbibe from India to ensure that the same level of penetration of these services can happen there. But there is also a lot to learn for us as Indians. Like, if you see the last decade, any fintech conference would happen, there would be a day dedicated or a session dedicated to India. They'll talk about UPI, they'll talk about Aadhaar. But you see, innovation in some of the emerging markets is now leapfrogging us, especially in credit. New Bank is a great example. They have been able to issue 100 million credit cards in a matter of few years. And we have a similar situation in India where we have a very poor credit penetration, and they have been able to lead the way. In UPI, for example, today, 1% of transactions happen on credit with the RuPay credit cards. In Brazil, they have a similar system called Pix, which is the equivalent of UPI. There more than 50% transactions happen on credit, right? So imagine our UPI transactions that are happening, 50% of them move to credit. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
So you spoke about product manager and you spoke about agile, right? So hey, Harshad, I'll come to you. How do you embed security into agile product development cycles so that we continue doing secure platforms, but also don't compromise on the speed of innovation?
So as I had mentioned earlier, see, financial institutions are custodians of the money. They're not owners. So that mindset, first the mindset is required, which is there, but what it results into is an architecture which takes care of all the requirements of consumers. And while as corporates or consumers, a lot of time we don't understand what the regulator is doing, but the regulator is always protecting the interest of the consumers. So a lot of things that the regulator comes out with is from a perspective that some of the events should not happen. From an agile perspective, see, again, architecture is one. When the architecture is defined, then you know what are the boundary conditions, what are the guardrails around which you need to do the development. So once that is provided to product managers, when the product managers are creating any new product or features, they know what and how it has to be made. On top of that, the InfoSec team, the information security teams which are in place, they need to work together with the product teams, right? Any feature which goes out, it has to go through a certain level of scrutiny. And this has to be sort of a streamlined sort of a process. It cannot be, you can't like reinvent the whole wheel again. Then effectively, because then we are talking about 2-week development cycles, we don't want to regress going back to monthly sort of testing and then coming out. So there is this CI/CD concept, etc., which is in place today. But that whole thing is driven by continuous monitoring. So one is at what stage and how are you kind of deploying any new development, right? And the way I have seen sometimes the way it has happened is you don't deploy it to that entire user base. Sometimes you do it to a 10% user base, you see what's happening, and then you kind of launch it to the entire user base. That's how you kind of take care of all any flaws which might get into the in the new versions. And that's where the agility comes into place where you have done it, but at the same time, you have all the checks and balances in place, which takes care of it. So you have speed, and then you have the compliance, and then you have the security checks in place.
So essentially, you're saying you work in an agile manner, but security comes in from day one, right? So it's not that you later on consider security aspects, right? From the beginning of your product development cycle, security has a key, has to be key. And then you develop the product so that you don't, you have the speed, but at the same time, security is taken care of. Yogesh, coming over to you, right? And maybe you can elaborate a little more in terms of what you just called out. For large organizations, what are the regulations that they should prioritize today so that they become future proof in terms of cybersecurity threats, right? What is it that organizations should prioritize?
There have been plethora of regulations that all these organizations should take care of. Um, One key essential thing is the first thing is GDPR regulation that Europe has built in. So that has set a standard or a benchmark across the globe. So data protection has been the key. All the payments data within India, even RBI has insisted that all the payments data, all the transaction data should stay within the boundary of India. So that is at most topmost priority for any of the bank, any of the financial institution. Along with this, see, with the pace at which the digital companies are evolving, with the pace at which we are trying to develop each and every day, there is a new product that is coming in. There is a new integration that is happening in. In the same pace, regulator is also ensuring that they create certain guardrails in order to ensure that they protect the bank, they protect the customer, they protect the consumers as well. What happened as a lesson learned in Europe is regulator has been extremely aggressive in laying out certain set of regulations. Banks and all the financial institutions were not able to catch up to that pace at which the regulator has been levying all the regulations. And as a result, what happened is all the European banks and certain banks in the region who were not able to catch up to this regulation, they had to pay hefty amount of fines in order to do that. Looking at this problem statement, all the regulators around the globe, what they have tried to develop is a certain technology stack, which is called as RegTech. So this is a regulatory technology that they have embedded in, which is mostly a rule-based system. So as and when there is a change in the regulation, all the banks will be notified using this RegTech stack. All the banks need to ensure that they connect to the RegTech stack. All the regulatory changes will be fed back into the banks as and when a change happens. A certain amount of time is given. Banks will do the course correction. They will ensure that they align to the regulation. In order to map to this RegTech stack, what banks also have to try to be is a bit more proactive. And in today's world, as we talk, there is an another stack that is being coming up, which is called as SupTech stack. RegTech on top of it coming from regulator to the banks. SupTech stack, which is supervisory technology, in order to understand how the transactions are flowing through. So they'll build cases based on how the smart monitoring, smart alerting is happening within the banks. So based on the transactions, regulator will be aware as and when a transaction is happening. So the supervisory technology is helping banks to understand if the banks are matching to the regulatory technology that is already being built. So mapping with this, regulator is able to ensure that one, I feed into the bank, two, what I'm getting from the bank. So this RegTech and SupTech stack are the key things that all the regulators across the globe have already introduced. Along with this, RegTech is now being evolved to add security features, add enhanced security layers, and it is being transformed into RegSecOps. So regulatory plus security in the operations. So banks have to catch up to this RegSecOps that is being set by the regulator. And if everyone are aligned to that technology stack, all the regulations will be aptly met and the user will be safe.
See this coming live in India soon?
Yes, it is. RegTech is already live in India.
Yes.
RegSecOps is coming soon in India. And one of the core traction or the key traction that we are having looking into consulting world is all the banks are asking us to help us with smart monitoring so that they can align into the SupTech stack, so that they can cover the entire picture as a whole.
Divyanshu sir, we've been saying that banks have to follow security norms. Security comes first, but in a digital first to AI first era, are businesses now at a stage where security is foremost, or it's still a dream? What's your view on that?
It was a very nice question. That's very nicely put. So I'll say this is security foremost, right? If you say today, banking is one sector, right? See transportation. You have driverless metro running, right? and we hop in, hop out. And there is a startup in Bangalore which is talking about drone-based transportation from somewhere to Bangalore to airport, right? So security foremost. How can you step into a bank or any on a hospital where you don't feel safe? The whole discussion is about that. It doesn't matter it is digital first or AI first or whatever first or like anything first. Security is the first thing that any human being or any like living organization has to take care of it and do that. So in this world today, what happens? Today, each of us heard about digital arrest, right? And it has created a menace in the society. Now, problem is today, even if a good call comes, I'm not going to believe that because I have completely lost I'm so paranoid about the security. Now think of some people who are like on an older side, who are like senior citizens, what kind of life they are doing. They are very scared to pick up a call. They're pretty scared to click a link. They're very scared to share anything to anyone because they all the time are taking the paranoid. So security foremost era has arrived. Because in this whole, I will say, gamut or ecosystem of business, life, society, only non-physical, non-digital thing is us, right? My whole data is digital on say school, right? My kids go to school. My telemedicine data is completely digital. I'm the only poor guy, or we all of us, who are non-digital there. And we are protecting ourselves for the people who want to exploit that. So I was in a conversation with some very senior officers of Government of India, and they were like talking about this lack of skill. I told that, okay, tell me one number. Are there more bad actors in India or good actors? Bad actors use the similar technology to fool people and scam. And we are saying at the same time that that 10th grader can scam us, but we cannot protect us. It's more about like cycle or I will say cultural issue that we adopt that in this digital world, we have to factor in security data, whatever it be. When I go somewhere, if I'm sharing my data, if I sharing my business card, I have my email ID. So I have opened myself to a phishing mail. If I have given my phone number to somebody, it gets sold. I'm open myself to a WhatsApp call or some digital arrest kind of scenario. So we have to understand what we call in a technical word is threat model. That whatever action we do, what is the digital threat associated with? Say I enter into a lift. Do I know that this left camera is capturing me, my photo, and the building that is keeping us is safe, not safe? So that's where organizations such as ONGCs and Amazons come, which build this entire security platform that I as a user or anybody here as a user, when we build an application or we build something on that, we are safe. So security primarily earlier, it was taken care by nation state. Now the mill gets security is weaker than enterprise gets security. I have one organization which I cannot name today, where a radio module, which gives you Wi-Fi or 4G, was tested 8th floor down because the amount of encryption it was having should not be available to anybody in the world except for the big brother. So we have to go 8th floor down to test that radio module. That is the parallels of security because that security was military grade. Now the same security has come to the enterprise grade and all of us. WhatsApp today says about like signal grade security, what we call that you cannot, it's end-to-end security. That's the key thing that WhatsApp sells. If you see that, trust that your conversation cannot be hacked. And then there is there are other companies which have broken that, right? We know about. So it is a play where security will take the center stage. Let the time come with a connected car and an autonomous car. The only non-digital thing is us driving this car, and we have to feel safe. With that, I'll stop.
So thank you so much for all your valuable insights. Just to summarize, security is fundamental. Like he said, security always will take the center stage in everything that we do. There is a large opportunity for bank and fintechs to partner. Like he said, banks need to safeguard the customers' money, their infrastructure, and then just to be agile to customers, the fintechs come in. Any closing thoughts from anyone before we just wind up the session?
I think for the students here, like at our time, there used to be very few startups that used to come out of campus. Now is the time where a lot of students do start immediately. I think this is a space where there's a lot of opportunity. It is not really well understood. And it is, as he very eloquently put, it is at the center of providing any financial services, or in fact, I would say any other digital service. So there is a lot of opportunity in this. I would recommend students to use the time that they have at campus to really go deep into it, figure out what are the trends in this, and maybe you will come up with the next disruptive idea.
Security has always been a compliance necessity rather than now the transformation or what banks are looking at as a competitive advantage. If we have security, we are definitely having a competitive advantage rather than being considering it as a compliance necessity. As rightly quoted by others, so security by design is yes. I have been working with a bank from the past 2 months or 3 months. While I'm writing all the user stories to the particular bank, they have made it 100% sure that I embed all the security controls within those user stories. So right from the requirement gathering, follow to the design, follow to the build, follow to the test, entire cycle of the development, we are starting security at the very first cycle. Security mindset, put security first, and then write your user story, create your user journey based on security. And there is one more case study that I just want to tell. On the same bank that we are working in, they have made a honeycomb model where they are making themselves vulnerable for certain use cases. They are allowing hackers to hack that system in order to understand what are all the user stories or what are the use cases that I have to tackle as a test model. So based on these vulnerable things that are happening on this particular honeycomb model, I am ensuring that I build my robust system over here. So that is one good example that how we embed security by design in order to ensure that we are more robust.
Ethical hacking is also a career option.
Yeah, so see, trust is the cornerstone of financial institutions. Without trust, these financial transactions can't happen. Once one understands that, then the security aspect can be understood better. So you need to embed it in the DNA of the organization of how you are managing it. And then everything kind of aligns, right? I mean, the user experience, etc. When everybody understands, see, the moment of truth in financial services in terms of payment is when the payment kind of goes through seamlessly, right? It is going from one party to the other. But when it fails, a transaction failing or the transaction going to somebody else, that's the moment of truth. And that's where security lapses happen. That's where everybody needs to kind of invest in so that these failure points are taken care of, which is where the investments should kind of go in, not just the convenience and the seamlessness aspect of it, but the security aspect of it. Because a lot of time you will understand that in the UPI transactions or any credit card transaction or any payment transactions, a lot of customer service queries or escalations come when the payments are failing, because the anxiety level of customers is extremely high, and those are the points that you kind of need to take care of.
That's a very important question. That security-based startup has been the monopoly of Israel, with which the country where I worked almost with them for 16 years of my career. And they used to just say that Israeli systems are secure. Started a startup in 2021 and 2022 actually. We realized that actually there is no competition in this domain. So our first customer was Electronic City Bangalore, then Bangalore Metro. Then today WeWork is a customer. These are like billions and $billion companies working with somebody. We are in Martha Ali, 12 people, and we have one product. But normally they don't say no because they understand that need of security is the need of the hour. Then we got called by the PMO that you are working on something. Can you help us to write a full compliance mechanism for IoT devices? This all with 4 people, and that time even our office was not there. And then government told that, why don't you take money from us? So they wrote the first check without me asking that, okay, we are not ready for that. No, take the money and then start building on. So it's a great area to work. And India, I'll tell you, Justin, we make maximum number of bug bounty money in the world. So that's India, a lot of good hackers. But security mindset as an organization, that has to come. The second one, the very important point what you told is that regulators are today learning from industry, because industry sees that. So a lot of us also have to share the knowledge that if there is a cyber attack on an organization, it has to be called out and shared without shame. That, okay, this happened, and this is a case study for other people to do that. Because we all are acting against that bad actor. We all are together fighting against the bad actor. So that's the need of the hour. Share it, we care for each other, and we are safe and sound in the digital world. Yeah.
Thank you so much for all your valuable insights. I think it was a great session. So, like they say, whatever speed you're driving at, do not forget to put on your seatbelt. Thank you so much.
As we conclude, heartfelt thank you to our esteemed panelists and for their invaluable insights and experiences. Your perspectives on digital security and innovation have truly enriched our understanding. Also, special thanks to HSBC, our sponsor for the event, and for the support and commitment to empowering professionals in the digital and financial ecosystem. Now, before we wrap up, I would like to request Professor Saurav Mukherjee, to present the gifts. We'd like to express our appreciation with a small token of gratitude for our panelists and our moderator. Ananya, please.